Welcome to Soul Rising. We're your hosts, Amy and Erin. We're two everyday mediums who are passionate about taking the woo-woo out of spirituality and bringing it down to earth. So put the kettle on, grab a chair, and join us. Hey everyone!
Good morning, or hello. It is the morning for us.
It's the morning for us. Yeah, it might not be for you. Hoping everybody's doing well. 2 weeks to Christmas.
Doesn't feel like that. I don't know. It just
Not
feels
yet.
like,
It doesn't for me yet either. I'm normally like super duper on the ball, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because of just the world events or what, but I'm just not feeling it yet. I'm hoping it hits me at the
I'm
last
not
minute.
either.
No? And are you normally like super like Santa? Because I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm normally like excited about it. And I think maybe it's just because there's so much going on and I'm still like kind of in school mode that I just haven't really had time to like, and I'm like making sure I have gifts ready, and I just like haven't had time to like what we talked about last week, which was about like being in our bodies and like grounding, enjoying the process as opposed to just.
So have you seen that play out? Because I've seen that that play out in my life in the last week since that's come through, like the need to be that way. Because like we as human beings will like slip back into that and then go, oh, wait a second, right? And then have the awareness like, okay, what do I need right now? Because I'm like kind of flying around like
I mean, we've even talked about this after almost every reading. I'm like flying high, and
me too.
So much is happening that Alex is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Your energy is like all up here, like to the point where I was like, okay, I need to ground myself. I'm going to have a glass of wine or whatever with dinner. Like that's, you know, bring myself back in my body, or like making sure I'm having more water.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that too. I haven't been the best with it, and even like I've been finding like, I don't know, I'm just super unmotivated this week, and I don't know if it's a collective thing or not, but I was talking to a couple other people and they're like, no, I feel that too. I'm just like, I don't care, like what's for supper, like, oh, I don't care about that, I don't care about this. And it's like, that's telling us that we are not connected to our body right now. Like we are flying out here a little bit, there's a disconnect. Yeah.
Do you feel like, because this just came through, like, do you feel like this disconnect is because it's part of like the transition, part of the ascension into like the new?
Partly, I think it is. I think it is for sure. I do.
Does that make sense?
I think partly it is like a December energy in general because of
like
how
our the snowball just is rolling and rolling and rolling, and then we're
I definitely feel that. I think it's, like I said, partly a December energy. I think that a lot of us feel kind of like this every year, but I just feel like it's amped up, like it's on steroids this year. And last year a little bit too, but this year even more so. And I think it's just because we are like that snowball, right? We are growing and evolving and learning, and it's just, the process is not always fun. It's not always fun.
It's interesting. As you're saying that, I'm thinking of like, we're growing and learning. This is the snowball getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And until we've done like so much, right? When we learn and we're ready for next chapters, we have to make room. Some things have to end. Some things have to come to a close. Yeah. And I'm just seeing this snowball just burst through this like fence, like just
like the momentum, and then it's like
the momentum, and then it goes, and then we start again.
Yep.
And we build and we build and we grow and we grow and
Yeah, I believe it. It's like, okay, like this is the lesson because like I said, I feel like, or I don't know if I've said this, but I feel like I have before. Like I feel like we have individual lessons and then we have collective lessons, and a lot of this is overlapping kind of stuff, but like collectively, I think I was just reading something yesterday about, how there's only, I don't remember which book it was because I've got a couple on the go, but there's only really two emotions, fear and love. Yeah. It either is underneath the umbrella of fear or love, and that's all it is. And I'm just like, we're in the fear part of our evolution.
Yeah.
Do you think so? In a way, it's like,
so. I think it always has been like this. I think it really comes in waves. And I think, like, even if you look throughout history, I think different things
Yes.
have happened, right? That like, sometimes they say like chaos leads to change, or like
Yeah, it does.
things unfortunately have to
Yeah.
get worse before they get better.
Yep.
And I believe that. I think
I believe
sometimes
it
things
too.
have to, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like that kid that just doesn't get it until something happens, like until
Or
this
he
kid
has to
like
learn it himself.
he has to learn it himself,
Right. And so the
right?
teacher, or life, the teacher, like,
Like the teacher
yeah,
was like,
it has to
listen,
like
I've
put,
said it so many times. And then the kid touches the stove after being told not to touch. This is an example, but
I'm thinking of
not to
that
touch the
movie where the
stove.
kid sticks his tongue to the lamppost. Yeah, right? It's
Perfect.
like,
That's better. That's a better holiday
well, the
appropriate
snowball, right? I was in that. It's like you got to
example.
learn for yourself.
Yes.
Um yeah, because or anybody else can sit here and give guidance, and it's meant to like help them, that momentum, that snowball grow with
Mhm.
awareness.
Yeah.
But
But
ultimately, we are
ultimately,
all responsible for our own evolution.
that's it. That's it. Exactly. I can't give you. I know it's annoying, but I can't give. We can't give you the playbook. Spirit will give you the play by play. Like, here's what to have.
They'll
Here's
give
what's gonna happen.
guidance, they'll give encouragement, they'll give
Give
you like a
guidance.
little sneak peek at something that makes you
Hey,
excited. So
heads
you're
up.
like, yes. So you're like,
Yep.
oh my God, I want that. Okay, it's possible for me. Oh, great.
Yep.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, how like for the most part, the things that people will ask me about, I will get guidance, but there is a few times where somebody's super specific, like, will we end up together? And I'm like, I'm not getting anything about it. Like, normally I get something, but like I said, sometimes I don't. And when I
Yeah.
don't, I always say, okay, this must be a part of a big life lesson for you.
Yeah.
And I can
Because
give
it's
you
quiet.
guidance around it. It's quiet because you got to think about it. If that's what you're here to learn, and
Hmm.
somebody gives you a play by play, what was the point of it all? It's like, the mission kind of failed
You
in,
didn't
in a
learn
way. You didn't
anything,
learn
kid.
anything. Yeah.
You keep sticking your tongue to the lamppost.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. It's an essential part of your soul's growth if we get
Yes.
like zero, like if we get guidance, but not a concrete yes or no.
Yeah.
You
Oh, and
can,
when spirit's quiet, it's quiet.
yeah.
It just feels quiet, right? Like it feels like they literally. I don't know if that's how it feels for you, because it's like I almost describe like mediumship, any intuitive abilities. It's like we're just a big radio, right?
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
just tuning into the different frequencies, and it's like
We're
okay,
not
okay,
in
okay, and then
charge
all
of
of a sudden,
what's playing. Yeah.
nope, and they'll switch the channel on you, even though you're like, oh, but I want to go back to that thing. They're like, nope, we're gonna
Yep.
switch this, right? And then when they're asking this specific thing and it doesn't come, that radio just, it's like they just took it away. It's like somebody
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
turned it off and then also took that out of the room. Like
Yeah.
it's no longer present, right?
But I found like the times that like that's happened where somebody has asked me something specific and I get radio silence, that in time that person will come back to me and go, I understand why I didn't get anything about that.
Yeah. Yes, I
I
wasn't meant to
learned
know.
something that
Yeah.
might not have been as impactful if you told
Yeah.
me, right? I had to learn myself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. And I think this just goes back again to kind of like I always say like our mission statement, which is about empowering other people. Like Erin and I don't want anybody to be dependent on us.
No, please don't.
No, right? No, like, and I think
I
in the
mean that so
past,
respectfully. Yeah.
right, but I think like mediums or intuitives in the past,
Mhm,
there may
mhm.
have been like a different frequency, like operating at a different vibration in which there was a bit more ego involved, and I think it still exists in the spiritual world than Erin and I try to operate from.
Yeah.
Like, no, 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 I don't want you to just have to come to me. Like, if I've done my job, then you don't need to come back to me. At least for the same, not for the same thing
Not for the
again.
same thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
with that, how about we pull a card for the week?
Yes, yes, please, please.
So I've got a few new decks. It
Oh, which
seems
one are you going to
I'm
use?
going to
I'm
use
so
Seasons
excited.
of the Witch because it's a Yule oracle, so it's a Christmas oracle, which I think is super cool. I've got a few new decks lately. I don't know about you, but I buy decks in spurts. So I'll buy like 2 or 3, usually in a short period of time. And then I might go like 6 months without any. And then, I buy them in spurts, it seems. I don't know why. And I'm getting much more choosy with the decks that I purchase. Yeah. Oh, that one wants to pop out for us. Okay. So this is a brand new deck for me, so not super familiar with it yet, but I felt guided to pull from it. So we got the Candle Magic card.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what that ooh was.
I don't know what it means. It must mean something good. The keywords for this card are intention, prayer, and hope. So I'm going to read, because it's not super long, I'm going to read from the guidebook for you guys that are listening and not seeing, but even those that you're seeing, I'm going to read to you. Perhaps more than any time of year, the holidays are perfect for lighting the night with candles. They are carriers of your intentions and hopes for brighter days. It is common to light a candle for prayers and to represent the divine's presence in both religious and magical or pagan practices. The simple act of lighting candles reminds you that light can always be found even in the darkest of places, and that light represents a hope that all will be well. So it says, candle magic is burning in your spread to inform you that your prayers have been received. If you're seeking a positive sign for your situation, know that this is it. You must have hope that things will work out in your favor. Additionally, the cosmic forces that be are lighting a pathway. So in this card, you can kind of see it's like a pathway, but you see how it's also in a circle and a spiral, which is interesting because we talked about that.
We just talked about that with the snowball.
Yeah. The cosmic forces that be are lighting a pathway for you to receive even more blessings in your life. Your spiritual support team is always with you and will show you the way when you cannot see it clearly. Candle magic is a sign that you're headed for peaceful times, and I feel like that's what we all needed to hear this Christmas season, leading into a brand new year. I think that's beautiful. So this is just, and last week we were talking about controlling what you can control. And letting go of what you cannot control right now. If you can't control it, then why are you worrying, And I know that's hard, and I'm like a worry wart. So I definitely know that that's hard to do. But I'm also seeing like worrying is putting yourself through something maybe twice, maybe totally unnecessary. Like maybe what you're worrying about is nothing that will ever happen. So, and we know how energy works. So our thoughts our thoughts and our feelings are powerful.
Exactly. I gave a reading the other day, and the image that was coming through, because it was like, I just want to, I want to connect. Like, how can I connect to spirit? What are some ways that I could do it? Because I like it to happen. And I got this really cool image of a door, right, being closed.
Yep.
And spirit was like, and I was seeing them try to really open the door, like really give it all their might, like a lot of force in it. And all I heard was, loosen your grip. It's already open.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. Mm-hmm. You just gently give it an open.
Yep.
I just thought that was such a really wonderful image. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And I was, again, with the reading of the book, I was reading something last night, and it was talking about actually doorway image as well. It was like with a hypnotist who was connecting with people. So I've got 2 books on the go. Both are about reincarnation and with hypnotist. And the one I was reading actually was talking about a doorway, and so he's connecting to people in past lives, but also like at a spirit level, like as after they have passed before in that incarnation, and then like what's happening in spirit when you pass, like what does it look like, what is happening. And one of the things was about a doorway, and it was just kind of like talking about them going through doors, but also it's funny because you talked about like we talked about how sometimes spirits like radio silence. It was reminding me of in that book how sometimes the hypnotist will ask the person that's hypnotized like a question, and they will not say anything, or they'll go, we can't talk about that. Whereas like everything else is coming out fluidly and they're answering anything. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, sorry, we can't talk about that. And I find that interesting so cool. Too. Yeah. But there was about doorways and about how doorways open when they're meant to open. So we can bang down the door and try to break down the door. And sometimes the door won't open.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's ready and you're just kind of like worrying that it's not, but it's already open for you.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's about accepting.
Yeah.
It comes back to like accepting the serenity prayer is what I'm hearing in my mind as we say this.
Accepting, release control.
Yeah. If the
Right?
door's open, it will open. If it's not
Exactly.
open, it's not open
It's
right
meant
now.
to be, right? Or there's a reason why it's not opening yet.
Yeah. And we've talked about this in my own personal life, how, I kind of went through my spiritual awakening, let's say at age 38, but in hindsight, I can see that I was always experiencing spirit. And there was a
Mm.
part of me at the beginning that went, I could have been doing this for 20 years. How many people could I have impacted in all of that time? And I
Yeah.
didn't do it. And I heard so clearly, it wasn't time for you to do it.
Mhm.
Right? And so
Yeah.
I
Oh
let
yeah.
I
I
let that
really.
go and I'm like, okay, like I can't grieve the missed time and missed opportunities. Maybe if I tried to force that, the door would have not opened for me at all. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't, I don't know. But that's just an example of how things like this work.
Mm.
So
I love it.
I love it too. Let's talk synchronicities
Yeah,
because
because
there's
that's a
stuff
good,
going on for
good
you.
segue. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to. So, something kind of exciting happened that I'll share more about maybe next week. Um, but it's interesting because I had been like, I love ghost shows. Like, it's just, I mean, I talk to dead people. Right?
Yeah. Most of us like
Naturally,
that
I'm
stuff.
just
Yeah.
like, right, I'm just interested. It's like
Mm-hmm.
my guilty but not so guilty pleasure. And I had been watching one, like a YouTube channel, and which led me to another YouTube channel. And then you sort of go down the rabbit
Yeah.
hole, right? Of like,
Yeah.
oh, this is on YouTube. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like people do paranormal investigations. And 2 weeks ago, I got introduced, or like I started watching this one YouTube channel, and then 2 weeks later, I they reach out to me. I'm
Just
hearing
randomly.
from, we just
Yeah.
like it
It's not
was.
like you
I
had
don't.
interacted with them.
No,
Yeah.
not subscribed. I had not subscribed, which I think I should probably. I guess I should do now.
Yeah.
um, nothing, nothing, and it's so surreal. So like to the point where I was like, I have to talk to this person on the phone. Like I don't believe this.
Yeah.
The
Because it's
healthy
just too weird. It's
skepticism.
just too surreal. It's
It's too
too cool.
surreal.
Yeah.
What are the
Yeah.
chances? Like,
Yeah.
and we talk about this to people. If somebody I was giving a reading to told me, I'd be, oh yeah, that's spirit, that's the universe. I
Yeah.
mean, of
When it
course.
happens for yourself, you're
But when
like,
it happens for yourself, you're like,
yeah, that's human nature.
somebody,
That's
yeah,
human nature. Yeah.
yeah. But I just thought that was so interesting.
So they
So
reached out to you.
they reached out to do. I don't know if I should.
Yeah. We don't have to give too many
We don't have to
details, but
get too
just
many
do
details,
something
but
with them.
to do something with them.
Yeah.
We're,
And they're like from another country?
they're
Is
from
that right?
they're from the States, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are the chances?
What are the chances that you were like, went down the rabbit hole and randomly found them, hadn't heard of them before,
No,
didn't subscribe,
no,
didn't comment,
no.
and then they reach out to you?
And then they reach out.
I know.
I
I'm
had to
so
go back in my
excited.
history. I had to go back and double check. I didn't subscribe, right? That no.
Right. Yeah.
And it was literally 2 weeks ago to like just so 2 weeks ago, almost to the date that I had just started watching them. Like I think it was just like the
Crazy.
day after. I like it really was just like a day apart within each other. Like just it was so they're so
Yeah.
it was
It was that I know. And then you told me and I was like, "What? Like this is so cool. You have to. You have to."
Amy, is this real? Is this real?
Yeah, right? Like talk me down. Like is this real? Yeah, I think that's so cool and that's like a very magical type of synchronicity. Like in your face. Sometimes they're really in your face, right?
Sometimes they are, yeah, just like that one.
Sometimes synchronicities are like boom and you're like, "Whoa." Like I'm questioning everything like in my
Yeah.
whole
Or
life.
it felt like kind of a slow build up because I had been hearing that also had been hearing one of the names like for like Sam. I've been hearing the name Sam like for a month.
We talked about that. Is one of their
Yeah, we
names
talked
Sam?
about, and one of their names is Sam.
Oh my goodness.
That was
Wow.
another thing. I was like, right? So when I had just started watching their YouTube video, like, just put it on the background, like a podcast,
Yep.
right?
Listening as you're
Something to
doing your
listen
stuff.
to,
Yeah.
listening to as I'm like doing laundry. And I was like, oh, weird. There's the name Sam again. That's so weird.
So weird. And then
So
he
weird.
contacts me in 2 weeks, and
And then in
I'm
two
gonna do
weeks,
something with
yeah,
him.
one of the team members. So anyways, I'm excited to talk about like what that is.
Yeah, we're dropping
We're
serious
dropping
hints
little
here,
serious
but we
hints.
will talk about it next week,
Yeah.
and give you more details, and and show you the goods like when that happens. But yeah, just like as a little like uh not random, but like what's the word I'm looking for? Like recent, very recent
Very recent
synchronicity, like huge in
synchronicity.
your face kind of
Like a
synchronicity.
snowball. Blah, 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 blah.
Right, because it's been building for a while.
Yeah.
Because how long ago I think it was last December for like your birthday, I did a reading for you.
Yeah.
And I brought up something about something next level, like getting more, what's the word? I'm kind of having, maybe my brain is slow this morning. I'm like losing track of words I meant to say.
That's okay.
Exposure. Exposure. There
Exposure.
was this thing about exposure for Erin, and then I felt like it was coming. And so that's interesting too. Because
Just
that's a slow build,
all
right?
these
That was a
slow
year
build.
ago. Yeah.
It's always these little pieces of the puzzle they give us, right? This little carrot that spirit gives you to
Yeah.
keep going,
And I know like in the past I always noticed those little synchronicities. Like some people I don't know if people don't notice them or if they just don't
Well,
voice
sometimes
them.
I get it. Like sometimes it's hard to
Like
notice it right away, right? And even when it's in your face, you're like, nah,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I just feel
What
like
are some?
I was always somebody that like when those kind of even if they were like little small things, I'd be like,
It always stuck out for you.
I always did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what's something that's been like a synchronistic? Because I think this is a really good topic. I feel like also people want to know, like, how do I know it's a synchronicity and not a coincidence?
I'm trying to think.
I
Like
mean, I don't believe in coincidences
no, I don't anymore.
personally. No, not anymore.
No.
Especially if things happen repeatedly, you're like, no.
Something that's coming to my mind is so I've shared bits and pieces about my past and how I've always been spiritually inclined, but like I always knew that I had a connection to spirit, but didn't realize that it was a two-way street. So I was like always waiting for the next dream or the next coincidence or
Yeah.
coincidence, whatever it was, synchronicity. Didn't realize that I could initiate. So I spent like 20 years just kind of waiting. But other people saw it in me. So, and this is the interesting thing. So I remember this would have been probably 10, 11 years ago. My middle child was probably like 2 or 3 months late for their vaccinations. You know how you get like
Yeah, yeah.
vaccinations as it up until age 5. You go and you get them every so often. For chickenpox and all those different things. And we were behind a couple months for one. And I had made the appointment because we were sick. I think it was like the winter that I had pneumonia a couple times, and we were just like constantly passing back this cold back and forth to each other. So I was behind for that reason. And then I booked him in. I went to the doctor's, got it done, and then on the way home, we stopped at the mall. And we were walking through the food court, and this random person, this woman, she walked up to me. She kind of startled me actually because people don't normally just like walk up to you. And she like stopped and she put her hand on my arm and I was like, okay, right? And she's like, he's gonna be just fine. You did the right thing. I'm so glad you went and you got him in. And I was like, who? And she looked like my son was in a stroller and she looked down. She's like, he's gonna be just fine. And I was like,
Chills.
okay, like random, right? And I was like, okay. Interestingly enough, Yeah,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, like a month after that, he ended up getting he was sick. Like, well, he had a cold and he was like fine before bed. Like, I didn't give him any Tylenol or anything like that. And then he woke up. He was sleeping next to me in bed because he wasn't feeling well because he was congested. So I kept him next to me. He was only like 2.
Yeah.
And I woke up to like somebody kind of like shaking next to me, and I thought he was, getting sick because you know how you like make that movement. So I
Yes.
got up and I like turned the light on, and his whole body was seizing, and his eyes were like rapidly blinking, and I'm like, what is going on? So he had a febrile
Wow.
seizure,
You okay?
which happens when your like temperature gets high in a very short amount of time. So
Okay.
it like raised really
Right.
quickly overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But I just found that really interesting because she was like, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. And, like, I was really worried, like, what does this mean? Does this mean like there's some underlying thing?
Yeah.
Like,
Other like health. Yeah.
but he was fine. I just found like and you know what? I actually
Timing.
might be mixing up the timelines. That might have happened before and I can't remember. I just know it was like very close
Yeah. So
in the
close together
time.
like
But
that.
like that happened. And then I was, I went to a friend's house and we were just hanging out. There's probably like 10 of us. We were just like eating. It was kind of like a potluck thing. And she had been studying Reiki at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
And she had met a friend. I think he was her Reiki master, but I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's how she met him. And he had come to the house to do like individual card readings.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like set up in her like spare room or whatever. And I went in and he looked at me and he said, so you know that you're a seer. No, I think he said, you're a sensitive. And then I said,
Okay.
what does that mean? And he goes, a seer. Like you're
Yeah.
sensitive to energy and to spirit. And I was like, well, I definitely am sensitive to energy, yeah, and spirit.
Yeah.
But what do you mean a seer? And he's
Wow.
like you can see spirit. Like they can talk to you. And I was like, yeah, well, I know they can. They talk to me in dreams and stuff. And he's like, no, but like you're a seer. Like he was trying to,
Here.
he was like, you
Here.
have this in you. And I was
Look at
like,
me.
I know, like I see. And anyways, he was also describing like stuff that in my stomach and like different things that was going on. And I was like, no. And he's like, are you sure? Like, I think he knew that I was like maybe downplaying something. And then like, a couple
Yeah.
years later, that like very minor stomach issue that was plaguing me then ended up
Mm.
turning into a gallbladder attack. So I'm like, okay, I know what you were speaking about because I was
I get
now
it.
in hindsight, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, things were starting then. I was starting to get problems with my gallbladder, but that's like a synchronicity, I guess, in the way that other people would just like randomly say that to me,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Like
and that's how it
this,
works too. It's
yes,
not just like I'm seeing birds, I'm seeing that. It's like
there's a
if
message.
you're thinking a message, if you're thinking about something and all of a sudden a friend happens to mention something in lines with what you're thinking of, oh, it brings it up, right? And
Yeah.
then somebody else brings it up, and you're like, okay, I've been hearing so much about this. Like, there has to be something to this.
As we're saying this, I'm like, oh my God, I have to share the dog story.
Yes, I was just thinking. Okay,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So this is
you share your
another.
dog. I have to hang on. Don't. I'm not. I'm not. I'm trying not to be rude, but I just have to plug my laptop in. Hang on.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
It's all out. Okay, we're back. Okay.
Um, so as if you've listened to episode 5 last week, you'll know that Erin and I talked a little bit about dreams and things like that, and we talked about how I had this message come through from like an acquaintance, a medium student, like about this specific dog, and also that I had the day of this last encounter where somebody had brought this message to me about this dog that's with my dad in spirit that's waiting for my family. That day I had seen somebody in the neighborhood whose dog was really behaving kind of strangely towards me, like literally in love with me. You know what I mean? Like will not
Yeah, yeah,
move,
yeah,
is
yeah.
like eyes locked in on me, and the owner is just like, I don't really know what's going on here. Like he just wants to go home with you. And so I shared about that, and then on Monday, so we talked about that on
That's like
Friday.
what? Yeah.
On
Sorry.
Monday, it was like a torrential rainstorm here, and I had to walk my child to school, and I walked my child to school, and then on the way back just on the corner, like by my house,
Yeah.
which is, by the way, she doesn't even live like super close by. She was coming around the corner as I was like getting to the corner, and I went, and I like stopped for a minute. I was like, hi. And she said, hi. I
Same
didn't even know
person,
if she like
same
remembered me. It was
dog.
the same person, the same dog. And I was like, okay, gonna keep walking. And I crossed the street. And as I was crossing the street, I kept hearing in my mind, turn around, turn around, turn around. And like, normally I wouldn't do that because I'm like, oh, she's probably gonna see me turn around. She's gonna be like, why is she like turning around? You know what I mean? Like, you get in your head about things. But I heard turn around, so I
Yeah.
did. I crossed the street, I turned around. She, at the same moment, turned around because her dog wouldn't move. The dog was staring at me. And I was like, this again? And she was like, this is wild. Like, I don't even know what's happening. And I didn't want to go in details because, first of all, like, we were out on the street in pouring
It's
rain. But I
raining.
was just like, all I know is
You're
that
feeling
this is
all
a
your
sign.
feels too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, all I know is that this is a sign. And she was like, is it? And I said, it's a sign that my dog is coming to me. And she's like, oh, I'm so glad. And then I said, what is the dog's name? And she told me, and it was a 4-letter name that is not the same name that we tentatively have chosen for our future dog, but similar sounding.
It sounds the exact same.
It
Like
sounds very
similar enough.
similar. And I was just like, okay then. And I kept walking, and I was just like, the dog was still staring at me. And she's like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, he won't even move. And I have treats. And I'm like, come on, let's go. And the dog's
Oh
like
my God.
locked in
Oh
on
my
me.
God.
It was crazy. It was crazy, but this might not make as much sense if you haven't listened to episode 5. So if you haven't, go back and listen to it.
Go back and listen to it.
Yeah, go back and listen. But I also posted about it in my stories this week because I was just
That's
like,
just like wild, right?
what?
Look, again, timing.
It's the timing of it, right? It's the timing of it. Yeah. And the fact that I've only ever seen that dog, you know, like the day of this mediumship reading thing that I had done, where then the medium brought it up. So like, I saw the dog in the morning, the evening she brought it up, and she said, I feel like this specific dog is like a sign for you as well. And I was like, okay. And then we mentioned it on the podcast, and a few days later, at the next available opportunity that I would be like out walking in the neighborhood, see the dog. And like, I hadn't seen it at any other point in between, right? So it's like,
but after we talk about it, like,
right, that is a synchronicity.
Yeah, that's a synchronicity.
That is,
and
that, so I mentioned it to you because I was
you
like,
mentioned
Erin.
it to me, and I said, oh my God, Amy, I don't know why I didn't tell you this earlier. I, like, the next day after we did our podcast, I had to go to the college to do a course that I was taking for school requirements. And I'm on my way, you know, and this woman is walking her dog. Okay. And she's in front of me. Her and her dog are in front of me. He's doing his thing, smelling, walking with her. Okay. I approach, I get a little closer. He stops. The dog stops. The dog looks at me. The owner's like, come on. To the point where I had to pet the dog.
Yeah, because he wouldn't go.
And he wouldn't go.
Yeah.
And he just got, like, you know, when dogs kind of get excited, he got excited. And she just laughed and I laughed and we went on our merry ways. But normally I wouldn't think anything of that. But had you not told me your dog story, right? And then I experienced
and it's something that normally doesn't happen to you, right? Is that
it doesn't normally happen?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you'll see a dog. The dog will, maybe a stop and smile at you.
It's not that like every dog is going to invoke this.
It's going to like stop purposely, right?
And the feeling that you feel, and you feel like the dog is behaving kind of in a way that's not typical.
She was like,
I know, like, come on, what are you doing? Let's get out of here.
Come here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I let me pet it and just got like excited. And then in fact, just like stood there for a good second until like I was with 2 other of my classmates and we like walked away. But like, it was just like, again, timing. The day after, and when that happened, I thought, Amy.
You did.
I did.
In your mind.
I was like, this is wild.
Yeah. And then I said that to you on Monday and you were like, okay, all right. I know what you're doing.
Like, okay.
Yeah. But it's, like those are synchronicities. So it's like, I always say like to people when they ask about say like spirit signs, which I think that we'll talk about like maybe a whole episode.
Yes.
There's tons of stuff to talk about spirit signs. But about how, like, it's not like everything can't be a spirit sign.
No.
Everything can't be a spirit sign. The same as like every day can't be Christmas. If it was, it wouldn't be special anymore. So it's like, it's not about, you don't have to force a spirit sign. It comes and when you're not looking, and it's a feeling, it's something that comes through like a knowing, and you're like, oh, it's a knowing combined with whatever the thing is, kind of comes out of nowhere and is unexplainable and is often kind of strange, you know, like
I have to share this one second.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking about it, and maybe this is a good place to I don't know, wrap up, and then we can, you know, put a teaser about what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, for next week.
The next podcast. But so when I had met, I don't know if I think I told you the story. When I met Alex, we had this like really dumb argument, probably maybe 2-3 months into dating.
Okay.
3 months maybe, okay. It was just really dumb.
Yeah.
And
they usually are. I know.
Usually just like a dumb fight, like an argument, okay? And he's like, no, I'm coming down. Like, this isn't happening. I'm going to come down. We're going to talk about this in person. And I was like, okay. You know, that's good. Check mark, right?
Yeah.
Came down, talked. We had a great conversation. And that conversation led to us just like being like, I love you. Like, I really am seeing this going somewhere. Maybe not saying I love you, but like, I'm seeing this going
this is
somewhere.
serious.
We're in it. And I'm like, I'm in it too. I'm sorry. You know, we had a good conversation. And then after that, I had to go to my girlfriend's for like a girls' night. I'm on it walking. I'm going to send it. We can post it maybe in our photos. I'm on my way walking. And the only reason I stop is because I see this like beautiful, gorgeous, fluffy cat in the window. Next to this beautiful, gorgeous, fluffy cat, I see a heart, okay, with E+A in it.
Whatever. Yeah, Erin plus Alex. Yeah.
And maybe people who have been following me since then might remember this because I posted in my stories. I was like, this is a sign when it's in your face.
Yes.
This is here you go.
This is the universe saying, you're right. This is the person for you. This is your your person. Yeah. Stick with it. Figure it out. Talk. Yeah.
I'm amazing. Oh God. Yeah, we're gonna post it because that photo was I took a photo of it. I was like, this is wild.
And this reminds me too, again, like when I did a reading for you and I brought up, actually I think it was when I did the past life reading for you.
Yeah. So also
the name
is really good past life.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I've talked about that. Like people know that I'm a medium, but I also do past life readings. And I did one for Erin, and the name Joseph came up, like very clearly, Joseph. And then she was like, Amy, and I was like, what? And that's a synchronicity for you. You tell her why. Tell everybody.
Synchronicity for me because years ago, I would get readings with Maureen. Who is a really great medium. Yeah. Ended up being a good, just friend of the family. Yeah. And she gave me a reading. And every time she'd give me a reading, she would be like, I just keep hearing this Joe or Joseph in terms of your partner. Like, I don't see a lot. I just keep getting Joe or Joseph.
So you're like waiting for Joe or Joseph to come into your life. Where the hell are you, Joe?
I dated a Joe, and I went like, "You're not it."
Yeah.
So
what the? This is a joke.
That's why I always tell people, I'm like, listen, it's not to say this person is, that's not their. That's I always give that story if I get a name for a potential future partner. Yeah. Because Alex grew up just off of Joseph.
The name of the street. Yeah.
But the name of the street has Joseph in it.
Yeah.
That's off of yeah. So there's always
there's something, right? And it's up to us.
And then you got that in a past life reading. I was like, Amy.
I know, because I feel, I don't know if I told you that. I don't know if I told you this before, but I definitely feel as if you guys have past life connection. and you know
Oh,
it.
remember the dream that I shared with you?
Yes, that's why. Because I'm like,
week?
I know that you have. I didn't know if we talked about it or not. Yes, absolutely. Which is probably like an Easter egg. It wasn't like, Spirit didn't want to come out, maybe went with Maureen and say like her partner's name is Alex and he lives on the street, because maybe then you'd like go start like looking for him,
I
and it wasn't
I
time.
would.
Right? You would have. And it wasn't time. Anybody would be like, okay, you're telling me the exact address of my future husband. I'm going to go check
I'm
him
gonna go
out.
here
Like,
right now.
but you weren't meant to know that right now at that time. Right?
No, we're meant to wait. I was meant to wait.
So it's just a little, and these
Yeah.
are the types of things like when we talk about evidence coming through in readings and how sometimes they feel kind of random.
Yeah.
And we might not have a lot of context. It might be like, I feel like it has something to do with this,
Yeah.
as like to build a little bit further on it, but that's all I'm getting. And
Yeah.
the person might be like, okay. But then it always makes sense. Like later on, they're like, I know, I understand. But
I
they
understand.
weren't meant to have the play by play at that time, right? It's more like a little hint, and I feel like it's really important that like when you get those little hits of something that make you go things that make you go right, like when you get that,
When you get those moments.
take note of them. Don't brush them aside as if they are nothing. You will surprise yourself. They are something. They are the
Awesome.
way that your own like intuition, higher self, guides, loved ones in spirit, I feel like they're all coming in from the same place. They're little Easter eggs for you. So like I would like highly, I would really suggest that everybody who kind of feels inclined to get a notebook started. Write those
Yeah.
things down. They might feel kind of stupid or random to you. They will make sense because we're so busy. We have so many things going on in our lives and so many things in our heads. We're not going to remember every one of those things. But if you write them down, then later you're like, oh, now I have the other piece of that puzzle. I know what that was. This
I
is
know
how
that.
you build your own trust in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Maybe the reason why, mediums are around is to help build on that trust that
That's
you
what I
already
think.
have
That's
within
why I
yourself.
do this job.
Yeah.
And I think like I
I
think
don't
it
know
just
why I didn't think
I
about
think
that.
it just
Like,
because we talked about this. Sometimes somebody says something a certain way, and you're like, oh, but you, right? I don't know, like,
yeah,
but it's
yeah,
I
it's so true.
truly do feel that about mediums. I feel like that's the purpose of a medium is not to go to somebody and get all the answers about everything you'd need. It's about giving you what you need at that time so that you can continue to evolve. Mediums should be empowering,
Yes,
shouldn't be disempowering.
absolutely.
They shouldn't be taking your power away from you by making you feel
Oh,
like you have to go to them for answers. They should be empowering you.
yeah. That you have it within you. You know the answer.
Yes. And
You
that's what we
already
both
know.
try to teach.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so important.
Yes.
So
Ah,
important. I know,
okay.
right? Right.
Should I pull a card on
Do
that
it.
note?
Do
At
it.
the start?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay.
So we got the candle magic card about hope and
Okay.
about intentions and setting good intentions and finding the silver linings and things, and just like spirit is asking us to come back down in our bodies and to just be present for the next few weeks as much as we can. Hopeful in the face
Oh,
of adversity because we definitely are facing adversities right now, a whole gamut of them. So just in the face of adversity, let's just like focus on what's good, what's hopeful. Think about it's okay to daydream. It's okay to think about what you want to happen as long as you don't live in that place. Make sure you're still here. Yes.
ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding.
Don't live in that
Amy
place because then you're not present. Yeah.
Amy is dropping truth bombs today. Okay, so it's really cool that I pulled these cards, which is just kind of lovely. Okay,
Yeah.
so because this is what we talked about too today about love.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling from this is the Thoth tarot deck.
Cool. Thoth. That's funny too because there's a card about Thoth in Kyle.
What?
Well, in Kyle Gray's new deck, this
Oh
one.
yes, there is.
Yeah, and the other day I'll have to tell her. The other day I was talking to another spiritual kind of friend of mine, and she said, could you pull a card for me and just see what comes up? Sorry to take over the conversation, but I was just
No,
like, whoa,
please.
because I hadn't heard of Thoth before. And so she said, and my intention is that the card jumps out. And so I was just talking to her on like voice messages on Instagram. So I shuffle the cards, the card jumps out. It's a card that literally talks all about Thoth. And I'm like, who is Thoth? Then I sent it to her. And she goes, oh, this is so tied in because I've had spiritual experiences where Thoth has come into me before. So when you say that, I'm like, come on. Because I've never heard of that person.
Coincidence.
I know. Synchronicities, right? So this is a message as well for everybody, but I'm going to take it personally as well because that name this will be now the third time that it's come up for me in 2 days. So there's something there for me to dig into. Because I don't even know who this person is. I don't even know what that is. So
this card deck is related to, have you heard of Aleister Crowley?
No. Aleister Crowley?
Yeah, I feel like he was a problematic human.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
But he was known for doing dabbling in magic or ritualistic magic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say dabble. He did it.
He did, yeah.
And, there's some weird, some people believe he actually conjured up the Loch Ness monster.
Okay.
Anyways, look, there's a lot
I'll read about it. It's okay.
Min syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So aside from
sorry guys.
The Thoth, tarot deck is I got the Ace of Cups, which is so appropriate, all about new beginnings, right? Cups is our heart space. It's to do with our emotions.
Yeah.
Then the card that jumped right out next to it was love, 2 of Cups.
Yeah.
Coming together.
They're perfect together.
The Ace of Cups and then the 2 of Cups. So they come right after in the tarot deck. This deck has been shuffled.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like it's in brand new.
Yeah. Pardon me.
But this is amazing. We just talked about love, the purpose of life, right? Love.
It's love or fear.
Did we talk about that? Love and fear. Yeah, we did talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love and fear. And I really feel like we're meant to go through this fear as a way to go into love because the two are very connected.
Yeah.
Right? There's always a yin and yang. There's always right, to balance things out.
Yeah. Light and dark. That's the fear and the love.
Yeah. I love it. I love love. So there's definitely going to be, there's new beginnings coming up, I think, for everybody, new opportunities, abundance, and a coming together.
And that's okay. And that's amazing because let's cross our fingers and that's happening in 2022 because that's what we need is to come back together. I kind of am thinking we're in a new normal. I don't think we're ever going to go back to totally the way the things were prior to 2020, but I feel like there's a new normal and I do feel like it will be better. Okay. But in the process of shedding and growing and evolving to get us ready.
Yes.
We're now being put through a lot of this fear-based kind of stuff to see how we handle it, right? Because I was thinking about that when I was reading that in the book, and I was like, yeah, the world right now is feeling a lot of fear because of uncertainty, and it's almost like a test. Do you allow this to bring you together? Do you allow this to divide you? It's up to you. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do with that?
Which way are you going to go?
Seems like the second card was answering what we should be doing. The love card.
The love card. Don't stick your to poles for too long.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I love it too, because that is that carrot we're talking about, that heads up that this is what's possible. Keep moving, keep going. Because I just talked about it's okay to daydream and to think about the future, but you don't live there. So take that positivity, that excitement for what could be, will be, and be happy, grateful for where you are. Just come back in your body. We can find happiness in like where we are. We can.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm thinking about is there's something like that's on my mind because I've been thinking. So my favorite genre of book, other than like spirituality type things, is historical fiction. I absolutely love historical fiction, and I'm like naturally very, very, very drawn to like World War II, to Nazi Germany, France, all that kind of stuff. That time of the world. I'd love for somebody else to do a past life reading for me because I would imagine there's some sort of connection there because I'm super drawn to it. But I just finished a book called The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and it's all about this. And I was thinking as I was reading it, it's a talk about not so much of like the men at war, but like the women and what the women did. And I was thinking, like, the atrocities that happened to these people, and they still were able to find slivers of good and love. And I'm just like, there's no reason why we can't. Like, it actually really inspired me because I'm like, whatever I'm worried about right now, not to like judge what I'm worried or stressed about, because I don't think that we should like judge our feelings, but just like put it in perspective. Like, I can handle this. When we feel like we can't handle something, it's probably a good sign that you're totally disconnected to your body. Like, get back in your body, get present. Because worry is that you're too far away, right? Like you're ahead of yourself.
You're ahead of yourself. Come back.
Come back. This is the message of the month, I think.
Your body. This is the message of the month.
Maybe the year.
Oh.
I know, it's amazing. I love
this. Is a good podcast.
This is a great episode. There's so many truth nuggets in there. I'm gonna have to go back and listen and like take notes and be like, yeah. Well, that's what happens when you get two channelers. I mean, we channel what's coming through, right?
Yes. So and you guys, if you have not purchased, I'm just going to throw it out there right now. Purchased a ticket and you are interested in having a reading with Amy and I, we are doing a joint mediumship session was it 6? Is it 6 people?
6 people. Yeah. 6 people. On the 19th of December, which is a Sunday night.
Yeah. 19th of December at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
So that. And so I would, if you're interested, we are going to be channeling and flowing and probably dropping truth bombs left, right,
truth bombs, yeah, and channeled stuff from your loved ones in spirit. Yeah, and this will be happening on Zoom, so it's virtual, but it's still beautiful and intimate, and it will still be fun and meaningful. Fun. Yeah. I've actually never done anything in person, like an event in person. Because I was really like coming about this in 2019, and then 2020 was when I was really ready to level up and do more in-person things, and then COVID happened. So I'm been doing everything virtually, but one day, Erin and I are going to get on a stage together. Yeah. We're going to do something. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's going to happen. I just got goosebumps. So
yeah, it's going to happen one day, somewhere. One day. But with that, guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you soon.
See you later.
See you. Bye.
If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and tune in each week as we dish on all things spiritual.